of you feel good when you eat food court food?
Yeah,
but how many of you feel sluggish and weak a few minutes later?
Yeah, okay, and how many of you think your pants are shrinking? Yeah, they're not.
And how many of you think your faces are breaking out?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, guys, but the food tastes so good.
Yeah, see, now that's the thing. We did a little research.
Research? That sounds like school. You kids want to learn or eat?
All due respect, these are my friends, and I'd like to hear what they have to say. Then we gonna eat.
Well, since we're in the food court, we might as well present the evidence. First and foremost, Transinfinity Farm is not even a farm. It's a factory.
Oh, that. Well, yeah, that's what farms look like nowadays. Yeah. We keep the sun out to keep the freshness in.
Well, we took a couple samples of the food and sent it to the science lab, and this is what we got back. Here is what a typical student has put in their body since the food court has been in session. This much salt, Exhibit A. This much sugar, Exhibit B. And this much fat. Exhibit C.
All right, I think we have seen enough. All in favor?
Up hearing what my homegirls got to say, put your hands up!
Chows are liking it. Okay, time for a big finish.
Okay, I'm on it.
Thank you. Now, all that salt, sugar, and fat makes our bodies want more salt, sugar, and fat.
Boring.
And when we eat more, we may get bigger and bigger. You can eat junk food once in a while, but if you eat it all the time, it can make you seriously sick.
There are two categories of artificial sweeteners. The first is non-caloric sweeteners. What this means is that they have no calories and no carbohydrates. They also do not raise blood sugar levels, and they're used to sweeten beverages, desserts, and candies. Some of these include aspartame, which is known as NutraSweet, saccharin, which you may know as Sweet and Low, asulfate K, which is known as Sunnet, neotame, and sucralose, which is also known as Splenda. The second category is reduced calorie sweeteners. These are sugar alcohols, and they contain carbohydrates and some calories, although less than real sugar does. These also raise your blood sugar, and they're chemically altered natural sugar, but they're metabolized very differently. They're primarily in packaged foods such as cookies, gum, and candy. Some examples of these are sorbitol, mannitol, lactitol, maltitol, xylitol, isomalt, urethral, and hydrogenated starch hydroxylates. Artificial sweeteners are safe in moderation, yet there are some things to consider. Aspartame should be completely avoided if you have PKU. Palate tolerance can be developed if you artificial sweeten everything, just because you won't ever learn to like things unsweetened. Sugar alcohols may cause GI side effects such as bloating, flatulence, or diarrhea, and this also may interfere with hormones. When you taste sweet foods, even if they have 0 calories, your body still releases insulin as if you've eaten sugar, and it also prevents your body from producing GLP-1, which is a hormone that controls blood sugar levels and feelings of satiety. Both artificial sweeteners and sugars ultimately increase your risk for type 2 diabetes. There are a few different types of sugars. Dextrose, fructose, and glucose are all monosaccharides, known as simple sugars. The primary difference between them is how your body metabolizes them. Glucose and dextrose are essentially the same sugar, however, food manufacturers usually use the term dextrose in their ingredient list. These simple sugars can combine to form more complex sugars, like disaccharides. Sucrose is an example of this, which you may know as table sugar. This is made of half glucose and half fructose. Polysaccharides consist of a number of sugar molecules bonded together. An example of these would be starch, rice, potatoes, corn, and wheat. High fructose corn syrup is actually 55% fructose and 45% glucose, whereas ethanol, which is your drinking alcohol, is not a sugar, although beer and wine do contain residual sugars and starches in addition to alcohol. Sugar affects our bodies in many ways. It can increase bad cholesterol and triglycerides, it can contribute to leptin resistance, which then can lead to weight gain, cravings, and sleep trouble. It creates an addictive sugar response in the brain, and it doesn't fill you up, instead encourages you to eat more. When you check the nutrition labels, you have to be aware that sugar-free doesn't necessarily mean calorie-free, or carbohydrate-free. These foods may still have significant amounts of carbohydrates and calories, either because they're sweetened with sugar alcohols or other non-sugar sweeteners, or because they contain other high carbohydrate ingredients. Water is a great choice for a sugar-free drink. The consumption of sugars and sweeteners has many negative implications to a person's health and wellness. Health is a state of being free of illness or injury, and wellness is a state of being in good health and actively pursuing this goal. It is shown that high intake of sugars and sweeteners are related to kidney disease, leukemia, and lymphoma in men and women, as well as death from heart disease. Sugar and sweetener intake is also said to be closely related to type 2 diabetes and obesity. The American Heart Association recommends limiting sugar intake to 100 calories for women and 144 calories for men. This is equivalent to 5 teaspoons for women and 9 teaspoons for men. When we eat fructose, it goes to the liver. If liver glycogen is too low, such as after a run, the fructose will be used to replenish it. However, most people aren't consuming fructose after a long workout, and their livers are already full of glycogen. When this happens, the liver turns the fructose into fat. Some of the fats get shipped out, but part of it remains in the liver. The fat can then build up over time and ultimately lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. While grocery shopping, you should keep in mind the list of foods that are low in sugars, such as lentils, black beans, chickpeas, quinoa, hummus, wild rice, coconut wraps, sunflower seeds, pecans, and cashews. You also may want to be on the lookout for hidden sugars, such as low-fat yogurt, barbecue sauce, ketchup, sports drinks, spaghetti sauce, granola, flavored coffee, chocolate milk, vitamin water, canned soup, granola bars, canned fruit, canned baked beans, bottled smoothies, cereal, and iced tea. You may also be interested in using sugar substitutes. Maple syrup is a great one because it contains over 50 antioxidants. Be sure to grab the natural maple syrup over the Aunt Jemima's. Applesauce is also a great option. Instead of half a cup of sugar and oatmeal, try to swap it for half a cup of applesauce. Cinnamon is another great option, as well as cranberries. Grapefruit will add a sweet and sour kick to any beverage. And you can also use club soda in your juice, and this will save major sugar calories. Pureed banana becomes sweeter as it ripens, so there's no need for extra sugar. There are also a few hacks for eating less sugar. These include eating natural sources of sugar, such as fresh fruits and vegetables, picking low sugar produce, such as lemons, limes, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, broccoli, and cauliflower. Know your portions. Space things out so you're not getting a big rush all the time. Also eat whole and fresh, limit fruit juices and dried fruit. And know that sugar labels include both natural and unnatural sugars. Don't be fooled by low sugar or diet foods, as they are often packed with artificial sugar. Track what you eat. Eat healthy fats, as they will displace excess sugar from the diet and keep bodies satisfied for longer. Choose unsweetened dairy, and lower your sugar intake gradually. Unfortunately, the subject of nutrition is not well known in many of our nurses. This could be due to a lack of education, as well as lack of personal practice. If a nurse is unable to implement a certain lifestyle for themselves, they may find it difficult recommending this lifestyle change to a patient and unable to educate them properly. Recommendations from government and scientific organizations for sugar consumption are difficult to interpret for teaching patients and families. Patients and families should be taught about the health effects of both sugar and sweeteners. The emphasis should be placed on the amount of fructose contained in foods, and the amount of fructose not listed according to some studies. When educating the patient on the appropriate intake of sugars and sweeteners, it should be stated that 1 teaspoon of sugar is equivalent to 4 grams, and that, depending on food or beverage. And most finally, but important, patients need to be taught how to read nutrition labels to choose foods and beverages with lower amounts of sugars, and to avoid foods and beverages containing HFCS and sugar. Some health concerns to worry about regarding sugars and artificial sweeteners include osteoporosis and dental issues, such as diseased gums, starving teeth, which is calcium pulled from bones and used to neutralize effects of sugar, thick and sticky blood, which stops blood flow into the capillaries, diabetes, which is a failure of pancreas to produce adequate amount of insulin when blood sugar rises. The high concentrated amount of sugar into system sends body into shock from rapid rise in blood sugar level, and the pancreas wears out. Hyperglycemia is high blood sugar. This occurs when too much sugar intake or when there's not enough insulin produced or taken. Hypoglycemia is a large amount of sugar in the blood. The pancreas overreacts and releases too much insulin. Then blood sugar becomes lower than normal. Large amounts of fructose can rise the levels of triglycerides, which then raises the levels of blood glucose and insulin levels in your body. This then increases abdominal obesity, which can put you at major risk for heart disease. Hyperglycemia, diabetes, and obesity are all related to increased sugar intake, which are also risk factors for kidney diseases. It is important to keep in mind that while you're pregnant, sugar can be very harmful. When you get pregnant, occasional vomiting, heartburn, and mood swings are natural. However, when you keep consuming excessive sugar, these can persist and become aggravated.